What a pleasure to be back in this, to now be in successfully the first 5 days of the World Cup. There has been amazing results. This game only makes me fall in love with it more and more every time. But is a beautiful sport, is a great time to be a football fan. And foremost, are going to be focusing on some of the things that have been going on in this World Cup, some of the results. This World Cup has started. It has been amazing, some crazy results, some matches and performances of teams that we did not expect. And some people can definitely, say we did not expect this to end up like this, or we did not expect such team to play like this. But this is football. Many things can happen. Sometimes, yes, dominance on paper shows on the field, but sometimes dominance on paper does not show on the field. And that's the beauty of this sport. Things do not go as people plan, as people predict, as some analytical people usually predict. Things don't go like that. And that's the beauty of this sport, that it gives you such a unpredictable results. But again, paper and then performance on the field are two different things. Yes, sometimes paper backs up performance, and sometimes paper does not back up performance, but that's just sports. One has to lose, one has to win. But this is the World Cup time, and we are diving into some of the things that have happened this week so far in the first few days. But for those that don't know, esto es pase ambidiestro, ambidextrous pass, fútbol honestamente, soccer, football honestly, and we are in match day 1 of this World Cup, and some of the news and things that we have been seeing surrounding this World Cup results, players that are in a burst of talent and also flourishing in the world stage of football. And we know that in this World Cup, we had Mexico, who opened in Mexico City, who opened in the Azteca, a Mexican national team that had a beautiful opening. And that's something I did not know, that each of the host nations that were going to open, of course, in their respective nation. Something I didn't know is that these nations were going to have a opening ceremony in each of the host nations. Mexico had one, United States had one, and Canada had one. I personally did not know that. It was a great detail. I believe that Infantino did said it, president of FIFA, that it was going to be like many mini Super Bowls in 1 month. Well, the opening ceremonies in each of the host nations were very nice, very attracting. So that is going to show that this sport is a huge stage for the world, for the nations, and for those that love the sport. But Mexico opened in Mexico. They won 2-0 against South Africa. The co-host Mexico, they kicked off the tournament with a fiery and physical 2-0 victory over the South Africans, of course, at the historic Estadio Azteca. The match became a major talking point because it featured record-shattering 3 cards, alongside with the historic introducing a 17-year-old Gilberto Mora as Mexico's youngest ever World Cup player. And bringing in Gilberto Mora is another small thing that FIFA has done, is they have placed a small detail on the side of the jerseys showing what players have been playing their first World Cup. It would be nice if they do it for players that have played their 4th, 5th, 6th World Cup, like legends like Lionel Messi, Modric, Cristiano Ronaldo, players like that have played so many World Cups. It becomes a historic thing because not many players have had the chance to play 6 or 5 World Cups. But players like Gilberto Mora, a young teenager who just stepped in the field for Mexico, had a small tag on his shirt that it showed that it was his first World Cup. But Gilberto Mora breaks record, becoming Mexico's youngest ever World Cup player. And additionally, severe global fan backlash erupted against US broadcaster Fox for cutting to commercial advertisements during the FIFA newly instituted mandatory hydration break. And this is causing viewers to miss live match action. Again, this was an issue in this game and is becoming a thing that is annoying the audience of football, the actual fans, the people that cannot go to the stadiums and are willing to stay at home and watch this beautiful sport. The fans that watch from home are becoming annoyed because of the broadcast companies, broadcast televisions that are doing these commercial advertisements, and they rather finish their commercial than go back and resume the game. Sometimes people catch on when the game has already started, and this pisses off the fans. But this Mexico against South Africa was a three red card opening game. That's a record for the World Cup. And at the same time, we see this Mexico, a Mexico that did not give me the sensation of being a really, really strong Mexico like before. I believe this Mexico is in a rebuild. This is not the same Mexico from a couple of years back. It is a younger generation, younger players. So it's understandable they are going through a rebuild. Some people want to touch the talking point of if Mexico did not host this World Cup, they would have not been in the World Cup. Who knows? Some might be correct. Some might be incorrect. But it's understandable where some of these people come from and say when they say this. But sometimes, you don't have to be the strongest nation to get lucky and host a World Cup. And at this point, there always is nations that just go to the World Cup just like some say for vacation. It sounds harsh, it sounds mean, it sounds straight up, but it's the truth. Some nations, they don't have the quality that it takes to go beyond the group stage. So it's a little bit of a harsh topic to talk and point out, but that's how it is. That's part of the sport. But this Mexico wins 2-0, and they are at the moment in top of Group A. Then we have a game, Canada Bosnia, a game that these are games that for me personally, they were great games. Uh Mexico Open, they did not have the best game. There were certain things in the game that they could have done better, that the fans wanted them to do better, but not everything goes according to plan. Some teams are just starting to pick up rhythm, starting to feel themselves, starting to see what can work for them. But in this one, Mexico Open, they are a talking point because a lot of people don't believe this Mexico would have been a Mexico that would have qualified if they did not become a host nation. But then we have a Canada against Bosnia, a game that ended 1-1. Bosnia and Herzegovina, they execute a highly disciplined defensive game plan, maintaining a compact, organized shape to absorb relentless pressure while clinical finishing on a first half set piece allowed Jovo Lukic to head home a stunning opening goal. But then Canada showcased exceptional energy and attacking intent on home soil, dominating over 60% of the possession and generating a mountain of corners to keep the European side pinned back in a lot of portions of the match. And head coach Jesse Marsh tactical substitution ultimately just unlocked the game as late arrival Sio Larian, he just provided an immediate spark of the bench to turn sharply and fire home a historic 78th minute equalizer that secured Canada's first ever senior men's World Cup point. A Canada that was really, really, really relentless. A Canada that had majority of the positive actions in this game. and could have been said to, be unfair because of how the game ended. But that's football. Football, you could literally have the most shots, the most possession, the clearest opportunities. But if you are not accurate enough and are able to finish those opportunities, sometimes you see yourself paying and your opponent takes away from you by one, by two. And by one is when it hurts the most because you have done everything you can and you are not able to finish or close what you are seeking. But this Canada gets a point after fighting the whole game and having some of the more clear opportunities in this specific game. But then we go on to the US. The US against Paraguay opening game in LA. The US wins 4-1. United States wins 4-1. The US executed a flawless attacking game by dominating 75% of the first half possession and overloading the wings through Pulisic, through Weston McKennie to force an early on goal. Of course, that's the first goal. But then striker Florian Bologon, he spearheaded the clinical front line with exceptional position and impatience, nading a historic first brace, a first half brace, to put the match just completely out of reach before the halftime. Defensively, the United States backline, they successfully absorbed Paraguay's physical counters for the majority of the match, while late game substitutes like Gio Reyna showcased a roster elite depth by stringing together a 26 pass sequence with a brilliant stoppage time goal after 26 passes of possession. Gio Reyna decided to hit it with Tribella, and he placed that ball far to the left of the goal, and he scored a amazing goal. But this US for me has something about it that is different. There's a spark. And one thing I have said is, and many have said, is that people wanted Pulisic to play like the leader he is, or the leader that the US national team wants him to be. But guess what? In this game, he played like the leader that people have been asking for. The attitude of this US national team was different. The performance was high standards. The game plan came along with the hard work. It was an amazing, outstanding performance. If this US keeps playing like this, they are looking good. They are looking good. They are looking to get out of this group atop and to put a great performance for the US fans and the US fans that are showing up to watch these games. But some of the early matches of this, some of the early match days of this 2026 FIFA World Cup so far in the first 5 days of this World Cup and first match day, they have delivered major shockwaves and historic performances across many of the host nations. We have a Germany that just won 7-1. Germany unleashed an absolute masterclass in their opening Group E. Fixtures in Houston tearing apart Curaçao, a defensive to secure a staggering 7-1 victory, powered by braces from Kai Havertz and clinical playmaking. And they established the highest scoring performance of the tournament's opening days. This historic blowout signals Germany's intent as an elite tournament favorite while exposing the harsh realities facing lower-ranked debutants in the expanded format. Yes, there is a difference. I believe that in this game, Curaçao, they played well at the beginning. Yes, there's small minor errors when you defend, but the idea of getting out in the counterattack was there. But in the end, the difference of talent, of grit, of game plan, of strategy is showed in the 7-1 result. But then we have games like Brazil, Morocco, who the hype was there, the expectations were there, people expected certain things, people put the expectations, But the execution of the game did not go how people expected, what people pulled the standards of the game. And these were two traditional powerhouses. Brazil suffered an early setback, and after being frustrated to the 1-1 draw in the resilient Morocco that has been making its wave since last World Cup. Morocco has been going, they have been competing. They were in the finals for the Africa Cup. So Morocco is a powerhouse of their continent. They're coming in into this World Cup. They're stepping up. They left a mark in the last World Cup in 2022 in Qatar. So they came here, two powerhouses. One has more history than the other. The one of them is coming up, leaving a trace of what they have been able to do, leaving a mark on the last World Cup, the one of the biggest stages in the world when it comes to football, soccer. This Morocco group just came. They were resilient. They had some amazing players, young players in the midfield. And despite a roster loaded with world-class attacking talent, the Brazilian national team, they just struggled to break down a disciplined African defense that effectively just neutralized the creative rhythm of this Brazil squad. The shocking stalemate proves that Morocco's historic 2022 run was not no that it was not a fluke, and it leaves one of the tournament favorites with zero room of error to move forward. They have no room for error if they want to move forward. Brazil has to win the next two matches if they want to move forward. Morocco has held them back in this one game, 1-1. Very pragmatic game, very tactically tight. Some opportunities. The clearest ones were, of course, the goals, but a Brazil team that I believe that relied too much on Vini and Rafinha to solve the goal drowness or the attack. I believe also that yes, Igor Thiago did great. Igor Thiago did great in the Premier League. He did really great, scoring 20 plus goals. But you have a young Endrick that has showed you that he can make a difference. I believe Igor Thiago is a natural 9 that can definitely hit the ball on the finish and can definitely hit the ball on the finish. But I believe Endrick has a versatile movement, a more threat to his game, and something that it doesn't come easy when you have other 2-3 people to fight your position with. But Endrick has the versatility that Ancelotti needs in a 9 that is very powerful, physical, and has grit, I believe. But in the end, managers have to make their choices. They have to put the teams that they believe that is going to solve them and get the points they need. But then we move on to an Australia against Turkey. Personally, I wasn't able to watch this game live. I saw some of the highlights. And this is football. You can dominate as much as you want, but if you don't put in the opportunities you get, you will end up punished and feeling that you were punished. But Australia completely spoiled Turkey's highly anticipated return to the World Cup stage by pulling off a decisive 2-0 upset in Vancouver. And a lot of these Turkish players were saying that they were going to dominate the game, they were going to move the ball, they were going to hold position, blah this, blah that. But in the end, Australia ended up winning 2-0. The Socceroos rode a wave of spectacular energy. They backed by critical goals from Nistroy Irankunda and Connor Metcalf, alongside with 8 save clean sheets from goalkeeper Patrick Beach. This surprising outcome completely disrupts the expectations for Group D, establishing Australia as the legitimate threat to advance alongside the United States. So in Group D, you have a Turkey that already loses, and now a Turkey that has to go against the United States, who's already at the top of the group. Turkey loses, Australia wins, so Australia goes second. United States is first in the group. And then you have a Paraguay, and a Turkey that are forced to win their next two games. But the surprise here is that Turkey looked very well. Turkey looked good, but they just could not get their game momentum together. They could not take the few opportunities that they had and put them in the back of the net. But this Turkey ends up shocked against Australia. Then we have, I believe, to this moment, one of the best games tactically, offensively, defensively, effectiveness. Netherlands against Japan. You have a Netherlands that ties against Japan. 2-2. The Netherlands, they control the tempo and the geometry of the game for a long stretches, utilizing their 60% possession to create high quality chances, such as Virgil van Dijk's authoritative opening header and Crescencio Somerville's clinical long range strike. Japan, they showcase immense tactical resilience, and they in their never say die mentality, responding to every Dutch goal with immediate pressure and finding an equalizer both times through Keto Nakamura's sharp movement and Diachi's Kamara's determined late game hustle. Ultimately, both teams were excelled in capitalizing on key transitions, with the Dutch demonstrating superior build-up play, while Japan proved highly effective at exploiting defensive pockets to rescue a hard-earned point in the closing minutes of this game. But it was a very, very amazing game to watch. Japan, I believe, is one of the nations that is in its trajectory to becoming top 10, to become maybe even top 5. But this Japanese national team, they are becoming a very, very structured, organized, tactical team. Very technical. The players are becoming very technical. They're becoming fast. But Japan is growing and is going in a great path. This World Cup, they might surprise us. Next World Cup in 2030, I believe that this Japan will definitely leave a mark because they are only gotten better. They have been a surprise. They are challenging, and if they are able to compete against Netherlands, and Netherlands that is favorites for some out there, they can compete against other huge European nations. Another game that was a surprise was Spain against Cabo Verde, a game that ended 0-0. Spain's tournament campaign, they began with a glaring stumble in Atlanta, and they were held to a frustrating 0-0 draw by massive underdog, that is Cabo Verde, Cape Verde. Despite dominating the possession metrics, the Spanish side just lacked clinical edge required to bypass a heroical compact defensive block. This surprising outcome completely disrupts the expectations of Group H, giving Cape Verde a historic World Cup point and putting immediately pressure on Spain's to win their upcoming matches. Now, Spain seen themselves forced to win their matches. Spain had over 21 shots, around 6 or 7 shots on target, and then on top of that, Cape Verde only had 6 shots. One thing I ask myself is, did Spain play for something, or was Cape Verde just playing too good for Spain to not make goals? Yes, of course, we see opinions from different people. We see also statements from Rodri and what he thinks on how, they were well organized, structured, low block, and the whole time Spain dominated. Rodri said they did break some of our attacks. The ball will come and they will be able to clear the ball, but they were not able to go past the half. Yes, it's understandable. Everybody has a different point of view in football and soccer. Everybody does. That's what makes us different. That's what makes your work not work against mine, or that's what makes my work against yours. It's just all these things, all these differences in the sport. But Cape Verde decided to do a low block, play counter, and Spain just seemed a little bit too calm controlling the game, not enough depth in the attack. And I believe Spain did not have the ball transition at the right speed or at the right pace, you could say, to be effective enough and cause some type of problem. Spain looked like they were just calm enough to play, and that the goal was going to come anytime, but the goal was going to come. That's how it felt when this Spain took over, when this Spain was playing against Cabo Verde. And Cabo Verde, Cape Verde, at the end of the day, they walk away with a golden point, history being written. So it's all positive for them, even though they didn't score, even though they play a very, very defensive game. Cape Verde walked away with the most. When you play against a team like Spain, you want to walk away with something. And when you don't have any means to play offensively or create any chaos offensively, you will do everything you can to not let a team like Spain cause damage to you. But this is a shocking result, a result that is definitely going to upset some people's brackets, upset some people's predictions, upset some people's. It will upset many. It will upset many because it's a giant against the third smallest nation that qualified to this World Cup. So, again, whatever is shown on paper sometimes it's not backed up on the field, and sometimes yes, whatever is shown on paper is backed up in the field. But another meaningful game we had, or another meaningful, I guess, display we had, was Belgium Egypt, a game that ended 1-1. Egypt did just execute a brilliant tactical game plan in the first half, deploying a compact defensive structure that completely suffocated Belgium's star-studded midfield and allowed Emma Ashur to hammer home a stunning opening goal of a clever Mohamed Salah assist. Belgium showed exceptional mental resilience by adjusting their tactical approach in the second half, turning to direct wing play through Jeremy Doku and Thomas Meunier to establish relentless pressure on the Egyptian low block. Head coach Domenico Tedesco's decision to introduce Romelu Lukaku proved to be an absolute masterstroke, as the veteran forward used his physical presence to force crucial on-goal equalizer just 22 seconds after coming off the bench to salvage a point for the Red Devils. This Belgium struggle, this Egypt, they play a great game. They had opportunities that were clear to score on the counters. Belgium knocked on the door many, many times, but they were just not lucky enough to get the opportunities behind the net. Opportunities that they needed, opportunities that would have definitely helped them feel more secure within the game. But some of the things we see in this World Cup is the global quality gap is closing. The expanded format was criticized by some who fear a dilution of talent, but early results have proved otherwise. Heavyweights like Brazil and Spain, they're just failing to win their openers, demonstrating the lower seeded nations are arriving with an elite tactical organization required to frustrate the world's best. This is what we're seeing in this World Cup. At the same time, we see the goal difference, the goal difference will vitalize the group tactics, with Germany securing massive +6 goals difference right out of the gate. They have captured a massive mathematical advantage in the group E. Elite teams can no longer settle for conservative 1-0 win, 2-0 win. They must maximize goals to guarantee a top seeding for the incoming round of 32. And at the same time, we see vulnerability of the Giants. The tournament's traditional elite are being forced to adapt immediately to high pressing, deeply disciplined defensive schemes. Reputation alone the reputation alone will not carry teams into a knockout stage. Making early adjustments is crucial for survival in this World Cup. But as we see in this World Cup, we in this World Cup, we see Group A, a Group A that had red cards and perfect starts. Mexico takes 3 points and 2 goals. They dispatched South Africa with a 2-0 victory in a very physical tournament opener defined by a chaotic 3 red cards. Then you have South Korea, who is in second place, that also took 3 points. They take 1 goal difference, and it follows suit cleanly by edging out tough a tough Czech Republic, a squad that a 2-1 was what Korea took to share the top tier. But then you have Czechia and South Africa that are in third and fourth place. A Czechia that has a negative 1 goal difference, and South Africa that has a negative 2 goal difference. They suffer early blows and face immense matchday 2 pressure. But then in Group B, in this Group B, we have the universal stalemate. Why? Switzerland, Canada, Qatar, and Bosnia, they each have 1 point. This group is completely gridlocked. Canada grabbed headlines as Lorraine came off the bench to rescue a 1-1 late draw against Bosnia, while Switzerland and Qatar they matched them exactly with their own calculated 1-1 tactical battle. Then we have Group C. Scotland surges with Brazil stumbles. You have Scotland, who took 3 points, a positive 1 goal difference, sits alone at the top of the table after scoring a gritty 1-0 victory over Haiti. A game where Haiti was really resilient, and in the end, Scotland won that game due to a deflection that gave them a very, very critical 3 points. Haiti was more structured. Haiti attacked better. Haiti had opportunities. But in the end, this beautiful sport, just because you had the clearest opportunities, doesn't mean you will win. That's the beauty of the sport. It can break your heart. It can make you feel happy. It can make you feel sad. It can make you laugh. It can make you cry. That's the beauty of football. That is the beauty of football. And on top of that, it takes a toll on you physically, but it's the beautiful sport. And like Patrice Evra always says, I love this game. I love this game, and this World Cup has made me fall in love even more with the game. But in Group C, you have Scotland, who sits at the top with 3 points. Then you have a Brazil and Morocco that each has 1 point, 0 goal difference. The African heavyweights proved their historic 2022 run was not a fluke, aggressively neutralizing the 5-time World Cup champions in a thrilling 1-1 draw. And then you have a Haiti who sits at the bottom of Group C with no points and a negative 1 goal difference, rooted to the bottom, but showed enough defensive steel to remain in the competition. Then we have Group D. We have Group D, a group that Stevens wins in the West. We have a United States that has 3 points in a positive 3 goal difference, made the loudest offensive statement of the opening round by rooting Paraguay 4-1 on home soil behind an electric Florian Balogun brace. Then we have Australia, who have 3 points in a positive 2 goal difference. United States first sits top of this Group D. Australia is second. Australia that pulled off a massive tactical upset by shutting down Turkey 2-0, highlighted by 20-year-old phenomenal Nostru Irankunda. Then we have a Turkey and a Paraguay that are sitting at the bottom of this group. A Turkey that has a -2 goal difference, a Paraguay that has a -3 goal difference. They are left searching for tactical answers after being thoroughly outplayed in their match day 1. Then we have Group E, Germany's tactical masterclass. Germany takes 3 points. They have a +6 goal difference, orchestrated a ruthless 7-1 demolition of tournament debutants Curaçao through the Caribbean side. The Caribbean side, they won global adoration by holding the Giants to a 1-1 tie for 70 magnificent minutes. Yes, this Curaçao was structured well in the first 20 minutes, but then heavyweights like Germany just laid it all out, and they ended up winning 7-1. But this Germany sits at the top of Group E. Then we have Ivory Coast sitting second with 3 points and one positive goal difference. Earned a crucial discipline 1-0 win over Ecuador to cleanly keep pace with the Germans. A Ivory Coast that fought against Ecuador. Both teams had their opportunities. I believe Ecuador had the most important opportunities and the most clear opportunities. But there's a saying out there in Philadelphia that if you put your jersey on Rocky's statue, you will lose. For those that are American football fans out there, the Eagles are the team that plays around that area. And those American football teams that have placed their jersey on the Rocky statue have lost. So some say that this Ecuador team has cursed their team, but who knows? Ecuador sees a loss in the last few minutes of this game against Ivory Coast, and they lose 1-0. Ivory Coast goes second in Group E. Then you have Ecuador, and then you have Curaçao, who are third and fourth. Ecuador has a -1 goal difference, and Curaçao has a -6 goal difference. These two teams face a steep uphill climbs, with Curaçao deeply damaged by a goal differential. Then we have Group F. Group F is a high-octane firepower. Sweden takes 3 points with a positive 4 goal difference. They took the command of the group by ruthlessly dismantling Tunisia 5-1. Then you have Japan and Netherlands, each with 1 point and a 0 goal difference. They delivered the game of the tournament so far, a thrilling 2-2 epic display where Japan's relentless counter-pressing twice canceled out the spectacular Dutch goals. Then you have Tunisia sitting at the bottom of Group F. A Tunisia that has a -4 goal difference sits at the bottom, looking to entirely patch up their defensive shape. And as we speak, we have Group G that sits in an early tie after Belgium tie Egypt. We have these two teams that are at the top. There is no goal difference. They battle in an intensive tactical 1-1 draw. And you will see New Zealand against Iran later. But at the same time, we have Group H that it features an early logjam after a highly disciplined Cape Verde side pulled off a massive tactical shock 0-0 draw, holding reigning European champions Spain to a stalemate. This World Cup has not let us down. It has made great memories so far, and an expansion to 48 teams only entertains the football fan more and more. Some of the shockers that we have seen in this World Cup, I believe, is one of them for me is Japan. Another one, Cape Verde. Then you have elite teams that have been shocked, like Spain, like Netherlands. And you have big teams that have come to make a shock, like Germany. powerhouses that have a lot of talent. It's just a matter of time if teams like the elite nations can come into these games and be able to deliver the game plan that they have projected for that specific game. But we already see our first upset. We already see that some small nations are able to stand against some of the bigger elite nations that have football as part of their DNA and culture through their history. But this is all for this World Cup. It's only match day one. Some of the most outstanding matches that have made a difference or that they were worth to look at because of the performance or the um two teams that we're facing, and we're going to go at it for points in these groups. But this is all for this World Cup as of right now. We will be back in the end of the week to see what goes on in the groups and to get back into match day 2. But thank you for all of those that are always here with me. Thank you for always tuning in. And this is a beautiful, beautiful sport. The World Cup is here with us, and the World Cup will only give us more memories to look at and great, great memories to later reminisce about, because this only comes along every 4 years. So far, the World Cup has not let us down. This is a beautiful, beautiful sport. And for those that don't know, esto es pase ambidiestro, ambidextrous pass, fútbol honestamente, soccer, football honestly. And for those that are always tuning in, and for those that want to keep up with this World Cup, summarizing the groups or certain matches, please like and subscribe. And if you love football, please subscribe and follow. Have a good one. Thank you all.